Hello, everyone and everything, and welcome back to more Hollow Knight. In the last episode, we beat the White Defender not once, not twice, but 5 times. Whew, thank goodness. There are no other bosses we have to beat that many times, right? Anyway, without further ado, today we are going to be heading back to Dirtmouth, because today's episode is going to be dedicated entirely to one very special fellow, the one, the only, Zote the Mighty. Precept 5, Strength beats Strength. Is your opponent strong? No matter. Simply overcome their strength with even more strength and they'll soon be defeated. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Might as well just throw all my boss bios in the trash. That's genius, Zote. Genius. So, I want to draw quick attention to Bretta's diary here, because I actually missed a couple of entries that I didn't know were even in the game for a while. So, I'm going to go real quick recap. We did get this one, the 4th one, which she writes down after Zote comes into town after beating him in the Trial of the Warrior. But we also read the first entry, which is the entry that was available when we first got back into town after saving Bretta. But if, after sitting on the bench next to her, we had left the town, come back, and then read the diary, we would have seen this entry, titled The White Savior Returns. Long had they remained apart, and the village, once so warm, now grew cold. The maiden felt the well of grief. It gripped fierce about her lonely shell. And suddenly, as though her tragic state was sensed, the Savior returned, standing tall, glowing bright. Below shining horns, eyes welled black, glistening, eyes only for the maiden long missed, long desired. Her Savior leaned close, sat beside, perfectly composed. In that charged, breathless moment, not a word needed to be spoken. The maiden's shell felt suddenly light, her claws curled, no glance was shared, no claws touched, just perfect, aching love, shared in silence, together. Sure, Bretta. Sure. And then, after we first came into her house and saw her sleeping, if we had left and then come back and returned, we would have gotten this entry. Troubled dreams beset the maiden, her savior gone, consumed below. Now her only companion, the cold wind, moaning at her door, her heart fluttered with sudden fear. Then still, a sudden calm. Why? A presence, a figure close behind. She doesn't dare look, doesn't dare move, fearful the slightest action would break the spell. She knew the presence at her bed, knew the calm only they could bring. Her white savior, now protector, standing tall, beside, powerful, perfect. That one was called The White Savior in Darkness. So, now that Zote has essentially shunted his way into Bretta's mind, and she's built this entire idol for him down in her basement as opposed to the little plushie she made of us. I think the plushie's better. I'd rather have that, honestly. We do see there's a dream aura here, and perhaps, before entering, we'd best prepare ourselves, just in case. I think this is the set I'm gonna go with. It's a pretty spell-centric build, but every charm we've got is gonna have its purpose here. Alright. Let's see what lies within. Now this is a very plush dream. There doesn't seem to be anything up here, except the ability to descend further. Some blurry portraits depicting a gallant-looking figure, and down at the bottom here, if Zote were as powerful as he tries to convince everyone he is, the dream of him from the one girl who actually thinks he is indeed all that. Grey Prince Zote. Zote is a versatile foe, capable of jumping and teleporting throughout the arena, summoning shockwaves wherever he lands, or even summoning other enemies. His telegraphs are often strange, even sometimes using fake-outs or misdirections. In order to best him, you'll need to be well acquainted with everything he is capable of. And that includes the Flailing Nail. the fumble, the leap, the heavy leap, the Giga Slam, walking forwards, and summon Zotelings. In addition, much like the White Defender, Grey Prince Zote is actually multiple iterative fights, which become stronger on each rematch. But, unlike the White Defender, his first fight doesn't include all of his attacks. For the sake of efficiency, I'll also go over Summon Bombs in this bio, even though we won't see it till a little later. So, the Flailing Nail, at first glance, seems like a pretty simple charge attack, but this one is unique in the way he continues to face the knight, and will turn around if you get behind him. He's got these crazy ice physics when he does too, which all around makes him pretty volatile, and when he finishes, he trips on the ground and causes 2 shockwaves to travel out from him. And already we're getting into ways in which this fight requires a shift in mindset. Ordinarily, simply staying above him and landing nail pogo after nail pogo would be a great way to both evade this attack and do damage, but Zoe's peculiar, almost random movements make that a far riskier strategy than you might think at first. He could change the direction earlier or later than you're anticipating. If he falls to the ground when you're not expecting, he'll shorten his hitbox and you might end up falling down and landing right on top of him after whiffing a nail pogo. Or, worst of all, you might stagger him. His stagger is unique in that he absolutely flings himself like he's trying to get you fouled. This high arc can absolutely hit you if you're above him, which you might be if, to pick an example at random, you were trying to nail pogo him. So, for this attack, we're gonna have to play it safer than we may prefer. I recommend getting in just 1 nail pogo at a time as you pass over his head, letting his icy momentum carry him to a safe distance away. This will make it a lot easier to focus on his movements and avoid damage, as opposed to being focused just on landing more nail pogos, and should significantly reduce the risk of him hitting you with his epic pratfall stagger. His second attack, Fumble, is more or less a variation of the Flailing Nail, having the exact same windup, but instead of running around, he will immediately trip and create the shockwaves. This is the sort of thing that means you pretty much have to give Zote his space whenever he starts attacking, and wait until he's already in the process of an attack before acting accordingly. The fake out element of this attack is what makes it most threatening, so just don't play his game and keep your distance till he's shown his hand. The leap, and oh boy, just what I wanted, an entire fight built around the leap. It's like his main means of attack and positioning. He does it constantly and it sends out shockwave. This just isn't fair. This part will be easier if I go over all 3 of his leap maneuvers at once, so the standard leap is anything but simple. He can do 1, 2, or 3 of these in a row, and as you should well know, they may target you directly or they may not, and whichever the case may be is up to Zote. The biggest difference from the leaps we've been avoiding all game are of course the shockwaves. It's no longer enough to just dash underneath an incoming jump, but you have to be immediately up in the air once you're clear so as to avoid the ensuing shockwaves. This makes Zote generally a little tough to land a lot of attacks on, since you can't just wail on him after he jumps, since you'll be too busy avoiding the waves. The heavy leap will almost always be targeted directly at your position, and this one's telegraph is differentiated from the standard leap by him either doing a flip or a twirl in midair before descending. When he lands, the shockwaves will originate in front of him, and the one that travels in the direction he's facing will be much taller and of course tougher to avoid. You obviously want to be behind him when he lands to have the easiest time dodging, but Zote obviously knows that, and he's going to make that difficult. The twirl he can do before finishing this attack serves as a way to reposition himself in the air, which he'll often do if you make a break to dodge beneath him while he's winding this up. You have to be really quick on the trigger to double back underneath him if you want to stay behind him. Otherwise, you'll be stuck dodging the taller shockwave. But he still does give you just enough time to react. The Giga Slam will look just like a standard slam until he falls through the floor. Afterwards, he will fall from the sky. How the heck does that even work, Zote? We have rules. You can't just start breaking them now. Anyway, this is the most threatening of the 3, since it seems like he can either target you directly or a position near you, which essentially makes it a crap shot on whether or not you should dodge by remaining where you are or moving to the side. When he lands, both shockwaves will be the larger variety. While it's possible to reliably dodge this attack with some ninja reaction skills in the Shade Cloak dash, I say don't bother, and just perform a descending dark a moment after he falls through the floor, avoiding the attack entirely. The combination of all 3 leaps is probably the most difficult element of this fight, as you have to be constantly on your toes, ready for whatever curveballs he throws at you. Your main priority is going to be to try to stay behind him after each jump, but failing that, just try to stay out of the corners, and that's because of his next attack, walking forwards. Like many of our greatest foes, Zote has the godly ability to simply walk into you at a moment's notice, and the severely low telegraph for this behavior makes it incredibly threatening. As ever, our only real defense against this is to just not be too close to him at any given time, just in case he pulls this move. But being quick with a dash, either away from him or through him, can save you from getting hit too. Mainly, this attack is most threatening if you happen to be in a corner, so just don't do that. Summon Zotelings really isn't too bad to begin with. In the first fight, he'll only summon flying Zotelings, but in fights 2 and onwards, he'll start summoning flying ones and hopping Zotelings. While they both move very differently, your goal is the same, and that's to remove them from the equation as quickly as possible. They are invincible for a moment when first spawned, so it does take a little bit of restrained timing to wipe them out as fast as you can, but luckily, they only have 20 health each, so there really shouldn't be any situation where you can't take them out with one slash. Use spells if they end up being in an awkward spot. The more just things you have to pay attention to this fight, the worse off you'll be. His final attack, which he starts using from the third fight onward, is Summon Bombs, where he'll summon 3 or 4 volatile Zotelings, which explode either after taking 30 damage or after a few seconds. Unlike literally every other orange explosion like this in the game, the base damage is only 1 mask, so these aren't actually a larger threat than Zote himself. And, bright side, they do take care of themselves after a moment. But, outside of some extremely rare situations, that moment will always be after Zote has already began some other attack, and most of those attacks also cover the entire stage, so avoiding them and at least 3 explosions might be a bit much. So, this is yet another thing that I highly recommend just letting loose a spell for. Either a Descending Dark to take out all the ones around you and avoid Zote, or a Shade Soul to wipe them all out if you're in a good position for it. So, amazingly, Zote is no pushover. It ends up being the case that the safest way to dodge a lot of his attacks is by using spells. But the soul for these spells has to come from somewhere. So, no matter how we do this fight is going to come down to how well you can get your slashes in. So our game plan is going to be something simultaneously very aggressive and very evasive. You want to stay close enough to him that you can close in and land some slashes during the short cooldowns of his attacks, but far enough away that you'll have time to react if he does one of his attacks with a shorter windup. So this is all going to come down to knowing what you can do for each attack. So basically, consider it like this. Summon Zotelings, Summon Bombs, and Walking Forwards all have cooldowns too short to capitalize on. Keep your distance after he uses one of these. The Standard Leap has a very short cooldown, but if you're quick and precise with avoiding the shockwaves, you can get 1 slash in after each jump before evading his next attack. The Flailing Nail, Fumble, and Heavy Leaps all have middling cooldowns, long enough that you should be able to get in 2 slashes before retreating. And the Giga Leap has the longest cooldown of them all, giving you enough time to get 3 slashes in. Of course, you can also get in a couple of slashes while he performs either the Flailing Nail or Summon Zotelings. But if that's a bit much to keep track of, just try to get in an attack or 2 each time he does a Flailing Nail, a Fumble, a Heavy Leap, or a Giga Leap, and that should give you enough soul to maintain your Descending Darks to dodge his tougher attacks. This has been a very complicated bio for sure, but Zote's a very complicated bug. But I can't possibly conclude this breakdown without telling you the easiest way to bypass this fight entirely, and literally never have to deal with it. Which is, of course, leave Zote to die back in Green Path. Grey Prince Zote is the only completely skippable boss fight there is, and frankly, I envy those of you who aren't about to go through the same ordeal that I am. Forget Grim, this is a nightmare. Now, honestly, I have to adore everything this fight represents. It is a whole lot of fun to see all of these elements of Zote's character and even his fighting style that we fought him against in the trial coming into play in a genuinely difficult boss fight. But we have got a very difficult set of trials ahead of us. This single foe is essentially going to take this entire video today, and you'll see why. Ouch. Nope, I'm not following my own advice very well. Oh shoot, not at all. There's a lot of really great details going on in the background here. Every time Zote gets staggered, you can see all of like the small Zotes in the background like panic about it. Every time we get hit, or I thought every time we get hit, Maybe I'm wrong. Every time, so, jeez, I'm gonna die. Let's see here. Okay. Every time Zote gets staggered, everyone in the back freaks out a little bit. It's like, oh no, the big guy, he's going down. Ow, jeez, goodness. I also want to read some of his thoughts while we go about this, but maybe not the first fight. Ooh, we get the achievement Dark Romance. Yeah, what do you think about that, Bretta? I'll tell you what she thinks about that. Not very much. But we do get a nice handful of Dream Essence, and that's actually a bit of a big deal. Because if I'm not mistaken, that is the last Dream Essence that we can find out in the world, apart from the single bits and bobs that we can gather from various creatures throughout the world. Precept 6, choose your own fate. Our elders teach that our fate is chosen for us before we are even born. I disagree. After beating him that first time, Bretta is looking just a teeny bit unimpressed, her eyes no longer enthralled in his stories. But upon re-entering the dream, we see that not much has changed. And this is the main reason I recommend bringing the Nailmaster's Glory into here, because you can actually increase your fall speed with it by Cyclone Slashing your way down, which you might find pretty helpful. But now, gorgeous and passionate Grey Prince Zote stands before us. And not too much has changed. He has gained 100 health on top of what he had before. Ouch. As well as gaining the ability to summon a new kind of Zoteling with his Summon Zoteling attack. He can now summon hopping Zotelings as well as flying Zotelings. Other than that, pretty much everything in this fight is identical to how it was, including all of his absolute madness, his very strange telegraphs, and everything else. There's the hopping Zotelings. The hopping Zotelings are probably just a little bit harder to pin down, since they can move a lot less predictably. They're going to be jumping up and down and all around, as opposed to just flying in a straight line. But it doesn't change too much, since they still die in one hit, and are not altogether too difficult to pin down. I shouldn't have dashed there. Now, saving grace so far is that he doesn't actually do that much damage. He only does 1 damage with all of his attacks, which makes him pretty easy to deal with. But we've taken him down once more. That's right, Bretta. I'll show you the power of taste. We can see that each time we've beaten him, one of these candles surrounding him is lighting up. Precept 7, mourn not the dead. When we die, do things get better for us or worse? There's no way to tell, so we shouldn't bother mourning, or celebrating for that matter. Honestly, it's not a bad outlook. A bit nihilistic, but all together and live in the now. So, let's jump right back on in. And since we've got some spell left over from the previous fight, we can also dive straight down. Uninterrupted. That's probably the farthest dive that I've managed so far. Okay, fight number 3. Diligent, overwhelming, gorgeous, passionate, terrifying, beautiful, powerful, great Prince Zote. This fight once again adds 100 HP to his total and his new ability, Summon Bombs. Which I do want to point out, the Hollow Knight Wiki erroneously states that these Summon Bombs explosions have a base damage of 2. That's just not true. They have a base damage of 1. Yikes! So far, so good, though. He hasn't got too many tricks up his sleeve that we haven't already well prepared for. As long as you are ready on the dash, every time he moves, you can just about deal with him. Now, I have brought in the combination of Soul Catcher and Spell Twister to this fight, as opposed to just Soul Eater, even though Soul Eater is just objectively better than the combination of Twister and Catcher, I thought it'd be fun to give some spotlight to both of them at the same time, just for fun. Now, the Zotelings are strong enough to survive one of the 2 hits from... Ouch, shoot, I wasn't fast enough. That's alright. One of the 2 hits from our Descending Dark. So you gotta be pretty on the ball in order to take them down. But that's 3 fights. A 3rd candle has been lit. Precept 8, travel alone. You can rely on nobody, and nobody will always be loyal. Therefore, nobody should be your constant companion. Oh ho, that's some Pascal tier words of wisdom there. Alright. Alright, it seems, judging by the number of candles, that this will be our final fight. Avast, Zote. Vigorous, diligent, overwhelming, gorgeous, passionate, terrifying, beautiful, powerful, great Prince Zote. He now has 1500 HP, as well as all of his main attacks dealing 2 damage. All of his Zotelings still only do 1, however. Except for, I believe, the explosions of the bombs now do 2. Yes, indeed. But I believe contact with 1 only does 1. It's a bit confusing. And this increase in damage has obviously made him a lot harder very quickly. Here, I need to heal something really badly. Okay, thank you for doing that one. Giving me an opportunity here to actually be safe a bit. I don't like this. So essentially what we've done for this fight, it feels a little more succinct than the White Defender fights. Since the White Defender was just increasing in damage, Zote felt like he was building up more to this being his proper boss fight. Any fight that does double damage is immediately way more threatening. Yikes! Alright, we're fine. Just about got him down now. He doesn't actually take too many hits. 1500 does sound like a lot, but our nail is powerful. All it takes is a bit of relentless fury to match his own. Goodness gracious, alright, that was close. Ah, take that, you fiend. And yet, despite all 4 torches being lit, it seems we're not done here. But Breda has left. Zote, so lost in his own thoughts, doesn't even notice and continues reciting his precepts. Keep your home tidy. Your home is where you keep your most prized possession, yourself. Therefore, you should keep an effort to keep it nice and clean. Another pretty good outlook, Sly, I gotta admit. That young lass, why, she up and departed over the cliffs, with only the briefest word of farewell. It's a perilous journey she set herself upon. I can't understand where she gained such fortitude. I'd thought her a timid sort, one after my own mind. How wrong I was. The call of adventure lures all but me. So it seems Breda has departed. But not before writing one last entry in her diary, The Maiden's Quest. Her grey prince diminished and her white savior revealed as beast. The maiden at last understood the truth. Her life's companion would not appear, for they could not appear to a maiden sat idle. She must instead seek them out, must find her love, and free them of their solitude. And thus her own journey began, out into dangerous lands, shielded by her love awaiting, guided by her love to be. With every step, the maiden could feel it, their fated meeting, coming ever closer. Interesting. So it seems she gained some confidence after watching her dream boy get completely taken apart by us, but let's see what still waits for us down within. Before we go down, I do want to show we do have a entry for Grey Prince Zote, figment of an obsessed mind, lacks grace, but becomes stronger with every defeat. My love, any creature who could bear to be away from you, who would willingly leave you behind, or say unkind things to you. Pah! Lowly maggots, not worthy of standing in your glorious shadow. She could feel her cold body grow warm, a sensation she had almost forgotten. The Grey Prince, Chapter 112. Hopefully that's not how many times we have to fight this guy. We're going on to the 5th fight now. Against enchanting, vigorous, diligent, overwhelming, gorgeous, passionate, terrifying, beautiful, powerful, Grey Prince Zote. Ow! Who now does 3 damage with all of his hits. But the Zotelings are still locked at 1. But the explosions, again, that's the exception. You get the idea by now. But he is done increasing his HP, at least. And it seems I spoke too soon, comparing this to the White Defender fight. Because this is just a flat increase in damage. Dang it! Ow! And this might be the first one that I actually lose, in which case I probably should have brought up sooner. This is a dream, so Fragile Charms and Steel Soul Mode are very safe. But if he's breaking out the big guns, so am I. Let's go with that for now. Alright, I'm back. So, now it becomes a little bit that was quite a voice crack, honestly. Now it becomes a little bit unclear what it is we're fighting. Something I always like to speculate on when we fight a dream fight of any kind is, since Bretta has obviously become sort of disenchanted with Zote here. Man, I only had time to heal 1 because of that Zoteling. What is it we're fighting now? Is this Zote's own ideas of himself? Is this just how powerful the ideas that he told Bretta were? Hard to say. One thing's for sure, though, it's no pushover from here on out. Zote is, in my opinion, not the toughest boss in the game. But, shoot. I got a little greedy there. But he is definitely up there. His overall, unpredictability makes him a threat... shoot. That no other fight in this game really compares to. Nothing else fights you in a weird way, I should say. Nothing that, goes all out and faking you out. The closest thing is the Soul Master and Soul Tyrant. Alright, let's see if I can get some... Nope. I really want some dream dialogue from you, mister. There we go. Jealous fool, you stand no chance. We're gonna have to see about that. Now, I highly recommend Shaman Stone for this fight, just because of how much easier the larger hitbox on the Shade Soul makes taking out the bombs. Other than that, why didn't that blow up this guy? Whatever. Yikes! I'm in the corner. We don't want to be in the corner. Never. Okay, not too bad. Only got hit once there, which bodes extremely well. Because even though that was 5 fights, the equivalent of the White Defender, we're not done here. Mysterious, enchanting, vigorous, diligent, overwhelming, gorgeous, passionate, terrifying, beautiful, powerful, Grey Prince Zote. Once again, he has received another upgrade to his damage, now dealing 4 with every hit except for contact damage with the Zotelings. And he is almost caught up in damage to the White Defender. How much further are you gonna push me, boyo? At this point, once again, like the White Defender, healing becomes something you practically shouldn't spend your time on. Because you'd need to heal 5 masks, or I guess 4 masks at any given point in order to even be able to take 1 more hit. Dang it. I gotta wonder, why didn't she dream of me? If she had built an altar of myself that we would have had to, after we saved her, would we have had to fight ourselves there? An interesting idea. And honestly, I think going up against another knight is probably the one thing I never want to do. Although, in a way, I guess the Hollow Knight... oh, shoot, really? Oh, I guess contact damage with the explosive Zote really does deal that much damage. So it's just the Zotelings, not the... nothing else. Alright, interesting, interesting. Dark, light, they're nothing compared to her! I don't like you forcing me into a corner, Zote. We've been over this. I don't know why I did that. That was much riskier than I needed to be. This is another strategy you can take against the flailing nail. Is you can double jump after each pogo to give yourself some space. In that instance, we didn't have a whole lot of maneuvering room, so that would have been helpful. Now, we do come into each dream with however much soul we had in the overworld, which does present an interesting opportunity. Since we have Salubra's Blessing, if you want to completely fill your soul between each fight on the bench, it's not hard to do. Sensual, mysterious, enchanting, vigorous, diligent, overwhelming, gorgeous, passionate, terrifying, beautiful, powerful, great Prince Zote. Here we go! I've lost track of how much damage he does. This is now 5 masks per hit. More than half our possible health. If you want to come in here with some... ooh. With some lifeblood, you absolutely can. Much like with Grim, we are not far from the lifeblood cocoon in King's Pass. That could help a bit during this particular iteration of the fight, but it's probably not something you're going to want to rely on. And of course it will make rematching him just take longer, which in my opinion, the time it would take between each rematch, you could be learning his attacks better in that time. Anyway. Yikes, Zote, no! Oh, shoot. Okay, ooh, not bad, not bad. Alright, I am gonna heal 2 here, just so I can take a second hit. Just in case, which I probably will have to take advantage of here. Oh, yikes. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Now that was 5 damage, on par with the White Defender, and yet, there's still more. Back at it again. Fearless, sensual, mysterious, enchanting, vigorous, diligent, overwhelming, gorgeous, passionate, terrifying, beautiful, powerful, dangerous, cold Prince Zote. Ow! Now does 6 damage with each hit. Healing off to even be able to take 1 more hit is going to take a lot at this point. No! I should also mention, he becomes more difficult to stagger with each of the first few fights that you do, gaining 1 additional stagger hit and combo stagger hit with each of the first 3 fights. It doesn't make a noticeable difference. Oh shoot, that was... no, I dodged the wrong way. This is the most used Cyclone Slash ever gets. Like I was saying, it doesn't make a very noticeable difference, but it does explain why, if you were relying a little more on staggers in the early fights, he may be much more difficult to you later. Ow! Dang it! Using a spell to stall yourself in midair can also be a pretty smart idea to stall out the shockwaves. This is the problem with those. Oh no, oh no, 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 shoot, the hit didn't knock me out of him. Honestly, at least he can still be staggered. Unlike someone we know who made us fight him over and over again. I do find Zote to be a more interesting fight than White Defender for sure, so I really don't mind fighting him more times as we are now. My queen, I do it all for you. He is devoted in her dream of him, I should say. This is an interesting case, actually, of a dream rematch being who knows what, honestly. And I would like to stop dying now. Most dream rematches that we've faced have been someone's own perception of themselves, with the possible exception being the False Knight and the Failed Champion, since we do know, or we we can assume that the false knight was dreaming of the glory of Hegemol. Yikes! That was really cool, actually. But this one we know for sure is that way. Oh, that was really close. And I'm in the corner again. Get me out of here. I guess while I'm just stuck on one fight, I might as well bring up a little bit of an interesting factoid with this fight. It is one of the only boss fights in the entire game that it is completely 100% no exploits allowed, impossible to fight without the Monarch Wings. For some reason, the gates, or the trap door down to Bretta's basement just won't open until you have them. What hit me there? I guess it was his nail kind of sticking out from his hitbox. Rude. Stop doing that, Zote. Wait, I had heavy blow equipped. I meant to have long nail equipped that whole time. Whoops. Alright, you know what the real problem was? I wasn't listening to Zote's precept. Precept 10, keep your weapon sharp. Oh, exactly, right? I make sure my weapon, Life Ender, is kept well sharpened at all times. This makes it much easier to cut things. Well, I mean, that's debatable for you, but... Okay, so, here we go. This is the one right here, where I beat Fearless 1. 6 damage is more damage than we've seen any fight have other than the Radiant ones, of course, so he is in a bit of a league of his own here. Which I think suits him. That's what he'd want, after all. Ow! What the heck? Okay, wait. Now the Zotelings are doing increased damage. That did 3. This defeats my understanding of what was going on here. Alright, that's fine. It was correct on the screen, I just wasn't saying the right thing, I guarantee it. Okay. No! No! Alright, heal off at least 1, right? That was greedy, and it paid off, but it shouldn't have. There we go! Haha, alright. See, reading the precept definitely helped. I'm really sad I can't juggle his mask, though. But he's still glowing. Alright, well we learned the trick last time. We just gotta read the precepts. Alright, what you got for me now, Zote? Precept 11. Mothers will always betray you. Oh. This precept explains itself. I'm sure it does, Zote. I'm sure it does. Invincible, fearless, sensual, mysterious, enchanting, vigorous, diligent, overwhelming, gorgeous, passionate, terrifying, beautiful, powerful, great Prince Zote! His titles now take up the entire screen. There cannot be another fight after that. He now does 8 damage, and his familiars now do 4 contact damage. Wait, not 8, 7. I'm 7 and 4, not, whatever. Obviously, I'm only half focusing here. That's fine. You can forgive me, I'm sure. Leave me alone. I don't like the corner. Nope. Honestly, actually, Invincible doesn't even fit on the screen. It just keeps going. I love her more. Now that's interesting. Even the Dream Zote seems to be aware of the rivalry. Or maybe Bretta just perceives a rivalry between the two of us. I suppose that makes sense, considering we are literally fighting to the death over the foot of her bed here. Alright, there's no point in healing now. I guess I could protect myself from getting hit by a Zoteling, but yeah. At a certain point, you just gotta go all out and keep dealing damage. Okay, we took down Zote the Invincible. And he's not done. Precept 12. Keep your cloak dry. If your cloak gets wet, dry it as soon as you can. Wearing wet clothes is unpleasant and can lead to illness. We actually did run into him back in the City of Tears, and he expressed some discontent with the rainy state of the city. Okay. Zote, there is one thing I can do here that I have not had good reason to do before. And that is equipped Fury of the Fallen. Now, Fury of the Fallen increases our nail damage by 75%. And that does stack with Unbreakable Strength. While having the 1 mask bonus of Fury of the Fallen combined with Strength, we will be dealing about 170% more damage than we otherwise would. More than double. And you may have caught on to the pattern here. And though Ultimate Grey Prince Zote does not have another title, because it wouldn't fit on the screen, he does 8 damage. And now we can match him tit for tat here. An eye for an eye. All we need is more damage. He said it himself. Match your opponent's strength with your own. I can't see what you're doing over there, Zote. Oh no, the Zoteling got me. I'm gonna try and keep my health as high as it can go. At first here, since we can take 1 hit, this still isn't as difficult as a Radiant fight. We do have some breathing room. And hey, if you did bring in, say, like, all of the Lifeblood stuff, and Fragile Heart and all that stuff more. Actually, let's see. I think I'm missing 1. I'm only missing 1 of your dream dialogues. I hope I can get it before we're done here, but I don't. Yikes! Not fair, I didn't bring enough soul. Alright, now since I did have to replace... Oh, jeez. Since I did end up needing to replace my my Soul Catcher in order to equip Fury of the Fallen, it might not be a bad idea to take my own advice here and just restore my soul between fights so that we have a bit of a reservoir going in. Ah, shoot. Got hit immediately there. Right out the gates. Luckily, I've got all the spell I need in order to dodge your BS, your baloney sauce, sir. Ooh, nice, nice, nice. Doing well so far. Ooh, close one. Now, we don't have a whole lot of hits to deal. I believe that was it. And unfortunately, I did not get his last bit of Dreamnail dialogue. But it was, "I'll kill you quickly. I must tend to my queen." So for beating him all 10 times, was that 10 times? We get a solid gold statue of him down in Bretta's basement. And that's it. There's nothing else. That's all you get for it. But it's something to do. So, therefore, I consider it part of completion. Zote, close us out with one last precept. Never be afraid. Fear can only hold you back. Facing your fears can be a tremendous effort. Therefore, you should just not be afraid in the first place. See you guys next time.